Hello and welcome back to Pints with Pals. I'm Mike, one of your hosts, and joined with me are Jeremy and Jason. Say hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hey guys.
How was your guys' weekend?
Busy. Took apart the parents' pool.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
6 hours on Saturday and then 2 or 3 on Sunday.
Wow, that's a long time.
Oh, we had to cut all like the steel pieces and lug it all to the front from the back of the house to the front of the house, and suffice to say, I did have some bruise.
I bet.
Yeah. How about you,
So
Jeremy?
did you
Go ahead.
take all that stuff to the junkyard or
No,
scrap
we're
metal?
just gonna. My dad already flagged down the guy who picks up scrap and said, "You just want to take this?" I mean, it's probably worth a couple $100, but
Probably, yeah.
we have to rent a trailer, and then, I don't know. The
Fair
aluminum is going to be worth the most, but
Right.
which
Isn't
is
that what
late
most
enough.
of it was? Besides wasn't it all
Yeah.
aluminum basically, so it doesn't rust?
Yeah, it was. I'd say of the metal pieces, it was 90% aluminum. There was some steel, but yeah. How about you, Jeremy?
So this weekend, Saturday, my eldest came into town, took me out to a belated Father's Day dinner. I picked Wan Shao, which is a really good Asian Mexican fusion restaurant, and it had a very delightful Japanese whiskey old fashioned. It was really really good. I'd get it again. Old fashions don't seem to be a very popular thing for a lot of people, but I like them. I think they're nice to sip on. It kind of forces me to enjoy it and not like just slam it, even though I probably could.
Yeah,
And then
I like the old fashioned. I have some smoky whiskey some smoky bourbon that's terrible that I end up just putting in an old fashioned.
well, there you go. That's awesome. And then
There's
Sunday,
bittering agents in old fashions. How do you like those,
yes,
Mike?
they have bitters, aromatics, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times.
And sorry, what else did you do?
Oh, that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
you didn't can? Did you can or bottle your I thought you were talking about canning or bottling this weekend. Maybe not.
Did you try it at
No,
least?
I did Friday. It's a little undercarbonated. It needs to sit a little bit longer.
That's cool.
Mike?
Yep, we had there was a festival that went on in our town, and they had like speedboat races on the lake, which were anticlimactic at the very least. There was like just two boats going in like a little tiny circle.
Oh.
And I'm just like, they couldn't get very fast, and it was just like it's essentially a river that's been dammed, so there's a current, and it's like, yeah, this isn't as fun. But they had like a bunch of food trucks, and then a bunch of the bars and stuff had their they had like specials and things like that, so you could go in and kind of try it out. I went to one of them and saw it wasn't the hazy IPA that we had the other day, but it was the same maker. It's just called Hazy. They have Juice Force, and then they have Juicy, which is just a hazy IPA. I tried it. I did not like it as much. It was mainly just IPA. I don't think it was it might not have been hazy, but I did try it.
I think there was one just called Hazy.
Yeah. So it's funny that
available. Maybe the only one you'd like, I'd say. Maybe that the juicy one, because the rest are just IPA-ish.
Right. Yeah, I'm just kind of forcing myself to try everything at least a little bit. And then they had a whiskey or a bourbon. Sorry. I mean, they're all whiskey. It's a weird like specifications, but that was really really good. I had that too. So it was pretty fun. Alrighty. Today, as you guys probably saw with a title or whatever, we're gonna do another American style wheat ale. And it's a brewery that we've had before. It's the Cheboygan Brewing Blood Orange Honey, an American wheat ale. It is supposedly delicious. I have not had it yet.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
I grabbed my Oberon glass since we're drinking a
Yeah, I was gonna say that we've done an American wheat ale before, and when you look up the recipes, that's what it calls out Oberon as one of the other American wheat ales. This does not look anything like Oberon. I was expecting it to be a little cloudier, or a little cloudy. Looks like, I guess it's semi-cloudy. I feel like our Oberon this year was pretty clear, but I think that's something that changes throughout the year.
Quite pale.
Yeah.
Smells delicious. I poured too fast, so I need a minute.
Smells like a blood orange.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever had a blood orange, like by
I
itself.
like them.
They're very juicy and
Mhm.
sweet and darker in red color.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting this to be, a little bit darker color wise, being that it's blood orange honey. But I think I'm getting a lot of the honey smells.
I get a lot of orange, but I mean, I'd say it's like a very medium carbonated for sure. It's got a nice like one half finger head. Not mine, anyways.
Yeah, mine did too. But it is. I would say it's almost a light carbonated. Mine is anyway. Like I feel like
Really?
it's it doesn't have. It's very smooth. There's no carbonation mouthfeel. I don't have that as much of that one.
Yeah, mine's like there's a lot of bubbles in mine. Doing really well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. There's definitely citrus notes for sure. I wish I knew what a blood orange smelled like.
This. I mean,
A lot like this. Yeah, I mean, there's not much of a difference, honestly. I get a lot of like lingering like citric acid. It just kind of lingers in the mouth for sure. I definitely get that. I'm not too much of a fan of. That's what I remembered last time I drank it too. I already drew the beer. I mean, it's definitely a summer beer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so on this specifically is around like 15 to 30 IBUs. So it's a little bit hoppy, I think, but it's not much at all. Like it's a pretty mild beer. I mean, I feel like any of the wheat beers kind of have like a little bit of hoppiness to them. But yeah. Did you guys have any
So
comparisons to this and the other Cheboygan beer, I guess?
well, no,
Just kind of
it's
totally
like
different.
it's like apples or it's like oranges and blueberries. I can't compare them. Because styles are slightly different, right? 'Cause this is wheat, so that's more wheat in it for sure.
Definitely
The
taste
other
the
one
wheat.
was just was a cream ale,
Right.
which I assume they use corn, which gave it its creaminess. So it's going to be slightly different. Now you can use wheat, I guess, in a cream ale. I've read recipes like that, but that doesn't seem right to me. That doesn't seem to be part of the course. But this one's kind of weird. So like if you ever looked at the stats for what a American wheat should be, the IBU should be 15 to 30, right? Like Mike said earlier. But this one falls at 10. So it's actually below
Oh, right.
what it should be. But it's also, this beer comes in at 6.2 ABV, and it should fall between 4 and 5.5. So it's higher on the alcohol content. So it's not
I'm guessing that's
quite in
probably
the
the
right
honey,
range.
because I feel like they're not typically adding honey to a wheat beer, right? Like, because the honey is going to,
I don't know.
the honey would probably mellow out some of the IBUs and then buff and boost the ABV just because of the natural sugars.
See, and it could. I mean, it would, but they don't list if they use raw honey or honey malt,
That's true.
right?
Yeah,
So
I forget that malt and stuff in the
yeah,
the hops and malt can add those flavors.
yep, which is kind of crazy as well too. So I wish they would say. I don't even think it's on their website. I don't remember seeing it say anything about like we use whatever pure honey from blah blah blah, Michigan or Wisconsin or wherever would get the honey from. Pardon me.
The smell of it kind of reminds me of like if you have the orange in your like beer, like if you put an orange in your like what's the other wheat beer that's everybody has New Belgium's.
I like Blue Moon.
Blue Moon. I thought that was
That's my
Blue Moon.
favorite.
yeah. Blue Moon is what I was talking about. Yeah, yeah. But that's what it reminds me of. If you put the orange in it, like I can smell the orange,
Oh, okay.
the orange zest almost.
See, I don't get a whole lot of myself. I don't get a whole lot of wheat from it. I don't get it in the mouthfeel. It doesn't. I don't get like this silky or slick coating that I usually get. Like, so I just get citric acid just chilling on my tongue, which is weird. Again, I guess that's my grape twice now. But every time I take a drink, it's, oh, this is good, and then it goes a swallow, like, oh, there comes that weird citrusy acid flavor just kind of lingering there.
It's almost like a Radler, but with instead of lemonade, you have orange juice, where you have like that orange juice like aftertaste.
So the Radler I want to make would be with blood orange, honestly. That's what I want to make it with, which would be more of a Radler's like 2.5 or ABV or something like that. It's pretty low.
And I'm assuming you would do. Can you find blood orange extract?
No, so so a lot of these health food stores actually have like imported like blood orange pop you can just buy.
Oh,
you
yeah.
do.
I
yeah,
would
that
just
makes
use
sense.
that. I would just pour that in. I just pour it in there and just it could be carbonated anyway, so I don't worry about it going flat. Mix it in, be done with it.
I know.
it's not a bad beer. I enjoy it so far.
Yeah, it's not. I got a 4-pack of it, and I'm not unhappy. Like I'm not. It's not like it's the IPA, the American IPA that was. Oof.
What you got, Mike? I mean, just out of curiosity, you got this at Total Wine, right?
Bushes. It was at just a regular
Okay.
convenience store, but it was the Bushes in Ann Arbor. So
I'm looking. I was just researching and trying to find out more about the beer so I could find the hops. Their website's pretty sparse, but I did find their Instagram, and they were just at Total Wine, and I was like, oh, maybe Mike saw them there. Could ask them. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what kind of hops they put in here too, because like I'll talk about the recipe here in a little bit, but like I had a hard time figuring out what hops I wanted to use. So it would have been really neat if they would have listed them. I'm gonna look at the can one more time, make sure I didn't overlook it.
Well,
and I'm not seeing anything.
Like the other day, we were with their blueberry cream ale. I had mentioned that I was going up north. And maybe now I have a second reason to go up there. Another question to ask them. So maybe I'll have to do it. And I'm looking at their website, and they have some other beers that I would like to try that are limited releases that I've never seen.
Okay.
I'd like to try their cerveza, and they also have an oatmeal cookie stout that's a limited release.
That sounds good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
some of those
maybe.
Some of those like pastry stouts to me because they're trying to go overly sweet. So I've been burned a few times by like just specialty or boutique breweries, and they're like, we made a s'mores blah blah blah, and it's like it tastes like a fake marshmallow with fake chocolate. And I'm like, well, because I'm too susceptible to that fake sugar, so I think that those kind of send me the wrong way. But I've had one of our other buddies, I tried to give him one of them, he's like, nope. I think I tried to give Jeremy one, he's like, nope, get that out of my to-go bag. And I was like, oh.
Well, I want to try the tiramisu stout that Jeremy was talking about.
That is phenomenal.
But that, speaking of like dessert type beers, but that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, tiramisu being like the primary thing, and that is coffee, and then that's basically similar to what a stout is. So I feel like they could really kind of take all the flavors or make a tiramisu. We were chasing that in when I was in Italy. We were trying to find a good tiramisu and never really did. We found a lot of places that would they would do a take on tiramisu, and it wasn't actual tiramisu. It was like, here's tiramisu pudding. Well, they call pudding. I don't. It's weird. Every dessert is pudding. Italian? I don't know, but
or it could be an American Italian, or Italian American, how you would say it. Or
it was our British friends that were looking for them. So
yeah,
they kept calling it pudding, and I'm like, what's tiramisu?
Is
an American thing?
It's an Italian dessert.
Right. That's why we were looking for it when we were in Rome.
It's hard to find it.
Well, I think that everybody was just like, the places we were going, a lot of them were probably too touristy. So I think that they were getting like they wanted it to have like their take on tiramisu, not like an actual tiramisu. Because if they screw up the regular one, it's like, oh, that's Italian place did a really bad job. But
Right.
yeah.
So, so you guys been drinking this for like about 15 minutes or so, and it's supposed to be a wheat beer. How do you guys feel? I don't see any weird changes in your faces yet.
So I definitely feel it. I was gonna mention, but in my mouth, I do feel it on the top of my mouth, and that's usually what happens to me with wheats.
Okay.
And then it moves over to my sinuses. So we'll see. Hasn't yet, but I do feel. I mean, I probably have like I'm getting old. Your gluten allergies can show up later. I'm probably having.
Yeah. I
I'm
feel like
becoming
I'm
a celiac.
turning a
Yeah.
little bit red, or close to it. I think that there's definitely like a phlegm forming, but I think that this isn't strong enough wheat to really kind of kick it
Right.
into gear. It's not like Oberon where it's like, well, Oberon I feel like they have levels of it, right? Like depending on where you are in the keg and depending on where you are in the year potentially. Like I've seen a pour of Oberon look like pulp added orange juice. Like all the no pulp orange juice's pulp went into this.
There you
It was nuts.
go.
I'm like, are you sure this is Oberon? Because this looks like it's like chewable.
Like porridge.
Yeah.
Porridgey. There you go.
Yeah, like
The,
the straw or the spoon they put in it just stood straight up. I was like,
Yeah, there you go. That's when you know you got good soup.
I was gonna say the blood orange flavor has mellowed out.
It does. I think it dissipates
Yeah,
relatively quickly.
I get no honey.
No.
Like it could not be in the title for all I know.
So that makes me believe that it was probably pure honey that they used. I feel like honey, like Mike was saying earlier, that it's very fermentable and nothing really gets left behind. Where I've used honey malt and one of my cream ales, which I want to be making here hopefully this weekend if my ingredients come in. That honey you can taste. It's just a malt. But it tastes like pure honey, which is great. I love it.
So, and you may not know the answer to this question. I wish I would have done a little bit more research on it myself. The difference between a American wheat and a regular wheat, is it like Belgian wheat, or is it just like it's like, is it like whiskey where they can't say it's whiskey unless it's made in a like or champagne?
The biggest difference is American wheats are hoppier than the Germans wheat beers. So like think of like a Hefeweizen, which it would be like a wheat beer, and you'll get your bananas and your cloves. That's what I love about like a Hefeweizen. And most Americans, I've never had those flavors be present at all. I've had more like biscuit or cookie or stuff like that notes, something in myself, you know. But I don't think I really go after a lot of American style. Like I said, I really like a good Hefe or even a wheat beer or wheat beer. How do you want to say it? Like it's WITVIERs or something like that. Wheat beer, which are pretty close to a Hefeweizen. I think they're definitely thinner in color and body. They're pretty good.
I think I like the wit beers a little bit better, just because they're a little lighter, like you said.
Yeah.
And again, I guess just for me, the banana and clove are just pulled from the choice of hops.
Usually the yeast.
Typically. Oh, the yeast.
Yeah. Usually yeast. Yep.
I really
Yeah,
need to
actually,
start
a
paying
good
attention.
American brand for like wheat beer is the Allagashi White. I was trying to look one up, and they win awards like all the time. But if you look them up like Untapped, they have like a 3 point something. But they win awards like every year.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't consider Untapped a very good source of like.
Oh,
I mean,
I don't either.
if it's hard to say because it's like, I wish like if I leave a review of something that's bad, or if I get something that I wouldn't normally like or I didn't like, I tend to not even review it because I'm like, this just wasn't the style of beer I like, and I don't want to ruin this beer's like the who like this beer rate it, not if you like the style of beer then rate it. If you don't like that specific beer but you like the style of beer then rate it. But yeah.
Yeah, you say that though, but I feel like, and I say this to my family all the time, I feel like as humans, we are more geared to remember the negatives,
Right.
and we dote on the negatives. And like that's how we learn. Like you fail, you learn, you go on, but you remember that failure. You don't always remember the successes or the good times, blah blah. So I feel like more people are very quick to be the keyboard warrior and like, oh, I don't like it because of blah blah blah. Well, did you have a bar? Did they pour it right? Was it a fresh keg on an old line? I mean, there could be a lot of different reasons why the beer is not good. Um, I always try to give everything at least a three tries.
It was like a 3. Like you're not even. You just totally ignored your whole.
Yeah, I give him a 3. Fuck it. No, it's because like the first time it could be me, or it could have been the server, it could be mad, it could be a lot of different reasons. So at least try at least 3 times before I make up my hard decision. Like, I just don't like this.
Would you try and do it 3 different? Like if you went to a place and had something on tap and it was gross, would you go back to the same place and have the same thing on tap, or would you just try and either find it in a bottle or find it somewhere else on tap?
Yes, both.
I feel like taps. I used to love kegged beer, tapped beer anyway, but I feel like depending on the place, depending on how lazy they are with their setup and how I guess far away or how cold their barrels are, or where how the lines are run. There's just a lot of stuff that I feel like is probably either neglected. And this could be a COVID thing too. Like COVID could have caused a lot of this like laziness to happen because they just haven't been able to get the people in to kind of push through all their beer stuff. But I feel like I've had, especially in my town, I've had a lot more poorly flavored beer that I know what it's supposed to taste like. Like just Bud Light. If I get Bud Light somewhere, it's like either going to be like slightly warm or just has like an off flavor to it, like it's been sitting for too long. But that could be
but I've listened to a few podcasts. I think there's actually companies that actually come out to bars, breweries, and will actually run like a caustic solution through their lines, which basically eats up everything in there, and they'll rinse it or run something else through it, or rinse it or run something else through it until it's nice and clean. And if it's really, really bad, they'll just replace them. But I feel like a lot of places just don't know how to do that, or just don't do it at all because they just don't know. So I'm willing to bet that the one pub that you took me to when I was up there in Michigan, like they probably don't do it, or probably have never done it.
Right.
Go ahead. I was to say the one restaurant I like to go to around by me that Mike, you've been to it before, Beer Keller. If you follow them on Instagram, they actually post once a month. They take pictures of them cleaning the lines. They have a company come out and clean them all and redo, fix what's broken and change out pipes and or tubes and all that. It's
that place is amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that that they do that, and they're not the only ones. Some do that, but yeah, I get the like. We mentioned I think an episode or two ago, Hopcat, who has 50 plus beers on tap. It's like, well, you hope that they're doing that. I don't know. I don't have one by me, but you hope that they're doing that.
I feel like if you're not a beer drinker, then you probably don't care. You just tap it, serve it, and just be done with it, which is understandable. Just you don't like beer, or you don't understand how to treat beer. You don't have to worry about like liquor for the most part, unless it's like liqueur. Or if it's creamy, they gotta keep it cool. I guess wine you gotta worry about a little bit, but usually, they go if you open a bottle of wine, you sell it fairly quickly, I believe, or at least it's what I see in restaurants. Anyways, when I look around, it goes by pretty fast.
Yeah, I think that the other thing that can potentially ruin it too is like if they don't hire this company that do it the right way, they might try it their own way and just run sanitizer through this line. And then it's like, cool, now my next beer tastes like a little bit of sanitizer that came out. I went to one place to get on the germophobic thing. They basically had like a wristband that you could like use, and you scan your wristband, and then it would just like, you just put your like cup in it and you pour it out and you get like however much you get is how much you got of that beer, and you just get charged for like by the ounce. That's all it is. Yeah. Well, then they had the rinsers, so then you just watch all these people like take a sip of something and then rinse their cup, and I'm like, your mouth just like gross. Like no, put your cup somewhere else. That's like for the first time. Like that's just it was like nope.
Even just having taps that people can get by, I don't like that.
Yeah. It was a cool idea, but I didn't really care for it. It was neat, but I got like charged like So I got like an entire cup full of head, and they charged me like $12 for like maybe like 2 ounces worth of liquid. I was like, neat.
Yeah, no, I find it to be very gimmicky.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
for
just,
sure.
just even like a bar where they don't have the Voodoo Brewing that I went to in Pittsburgh. They don't have waitresses. They don't have waiters that come around and take your orders. They just you scan a QR code. It's convenient when you want another beer. It's like, okay, well, I can just order a beer from this app. It's gonna come to the table. But then they don't like come around and like check on you and like, oh, I have to go find silverware. I have to go find water. I don't know.
Gotta go find water. It's like I'm in the desert.
The cafeteria at the mall is what it sounds like.
Right. It's like, so am I tipping anyone? I don't see the point. Like, I guess I'll tip the runner maybe, but I'll just walk up to the counter since it's literally right. Like, you're not. I don't know. It's very gimmicky, and maybe it's like a sign of the time. Due to the times where they don't have staff or anything, less staff. But I feel like it's not. It's not helping. it's not giving me a good experience. I mean, their beer was delicious, but I didn't love it. Oh yeah, and then no one was cleaning tables, so it's like, what do you?
What?
I'll clean my own
Everything's fucking sticky.
No, I
Right.
just leave. I wouldn't just stay there.
No, it was fine. I mean, it was
Myself.
just looking around. No one was cleaning tables, but we had a fine time besides that. But now, I need to go up to Cheboygan and
get this beer for sure.
Yeah.
There's something I was going to say. Oh yeah, so I guess I was got a pretty neat little announcement. Some buddies of mine, they're going to do a soft opening this Thursday on their brewery. So I'm going to go up there and check out. They don't have nothing made yet. They just think they just brewed it, so it should be ready middle of July when I think they're actually going to do their official opening. But yeah, so I'm going to go there for like their soft opening and try to help them out a little bit, stuff like that. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That'd be cool to get involved with. I mean, can you like volunteer to help them brew? Like,
so I'm sure they're willing to take volunteers to clean everything. Right? That's always the worst part. They did mention that the person that won, let's say through their home brew club or something like that, they may do like a collab with that individual. I'm not sure how that's going to work out since I think there's 5 or 6 homebrew clubs in the general region, but that's covering like Virginia and North Carolina. So I'm not sure how that one's going to work out, which it still seems pretty neat though. It would be fun to spend a day working on a professional system.
Yeah,
like that'd be really, really cool.
Right, I wonder how much so if you were to do like a collab, basically just make whoever's beer won whatever competition, like you're gonna make that beer again for them, and like how much would it really cost them, and then would they get their money back, I guess is the key. But then like if they were to just make like 30 gallons of it, or however big a keg is, and just make one essential like normal size keg or a half barrel or whatever that thing is, like just make one of those, and how much that would cost versus like how much they sell of it. And then like I think that the thing about that kind of stuff that scares me is like then they just steal your recipe essentially, like, oh, I made this collab, and then like down the road they're like, all right, we're gonna make this beer, don't know where we got the recipe from, but it sold like hotcakes.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of these breweries are very diverse crowds. Like I've never seen. I'm not going to name the breweries, but if I go to brewery A, there's always the same crowd there. I never see my brewery B. And at B, I always see the people there, and I never see a brewery C. Where like me, since I belong to these homebrew clubs, we bounce around. So they have their own local niche people that are always there. So even if brewery A stole brewery C's, recipe, I don't think there would be any really influx in sales or decline in sales. I mean, you got the same people there all the time.
I can't remember where we were. Oh, we were at when we were in Chicago. Jason and I stayed back when everybody else left, and we're just kind of like screwing around. And we saw like a bottle like that was sitting. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but we saw like a bottle that was like sitting up on the shelf, like that they weren't serving from it. And we asked the guy that came over, and I think he was like the owner somehow. We just like asked some random guy that was like cleaning up the table, and he's like, oh yeah, no, that was like somebody brought this like beer from one of their breweries. And he's like, yeah, there's like 8 brewers master brewers in the back just kind of like discussing stuff. And I'm like, holy cow. And he's like, did you want to try it? And we're like, I mean, okay.
That's why I called you over here.
Right. So he like brought us over like a little glass of it, like probably about 5 ounces of it or something each. And it was probably the best thing we'd had that entire day. It was just some like weird, like banana coconut something. I can't remember what it was, but it was just
banana chocolate cake, German cake.
Ooh,
Was it
German chocolate
That's
cake?
what it's
No, that was the
Yeah.
one that the guy poured in my. I don't think we talked about that either.
Oh,
We had to say that one for like another.
Yeah, we're gonna have to say that for another one.
Another episode.
To be
Yeah, see,
continued.
if you guys live down here, you can go to homebrew clubs with me all the time. You'd have a blast. You
I
drink
would have a
beers you would
blast.
never ever try to
Dream
find
of?
anywhere ever.
Did you have a recipe for this one?
So I slapped something together. I didn't throw it in Brew Frother yet. I still wanted to tweak it a little bit, but what I came up with just off the top of my head, say I would probably use about 4.5 pounds of 2-row malt, which just would be the base, and well, not really, because I'm going to use another 4.5 pounds of wheat malt. So it'd be like almost like a 50-50 split. But I want to get that honey flavor in there too. So I'll probably would shoot for at least 0.5 pound of honey malt, maybe up to 1 pound. I may have to just like I said, I have not played with a brew father yet. And probably 24 ounces of honey. Because when I make my blueberry honey ale, I use about 32 ounces of honey. But I really want the honey flavor to be there, so I would probably use a little bit of both, just trying to push the actual honey flavor there. And then from there, to get that citrus flavor that I was talking about earlier, that I really had a hard time figuring out hops. I think Armorello, I think is how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It has a lot of orange notes and citrus notes and stuff like that. So I would use that as the bittering agent, or the bittering addition rather, to have her kind of get that citrusy kind of notes. And then for the smell, for the last 10-15 minutes, I'll probably use Cascade, which is another citrus hop for the most part. Or I could just use Citra, which is another one too. Would have a lot of orange characters.
The dish soap?
Yes, Cascade, the dish soap.
Oh, okay.
And then I even thought would be kind of fun to probably throw like a couple blood oranges into it, just the juice. Because like you don't want the pith in there, you don't want the oils in there. Because if you get any of these oils into it, you wouldn't have any head.
Oh.
So that'd be an issue. And then for myself, I probably would just use a USO5, which would make it a little bit drier because I feel like what we're drinking now is a little dry, as the yeast. So I think as a good starter recipe, I would probably scale it down and make maybe a 2-gallon batch just to try it out, just to see what it does taste like, and then maybe tweak it a little bit. Because like I said, I've never made one of these before, but this is kind of what I came up with.
Does Brewfather tell you what the ABV might be, or does it?
Yep.
That's kind of cool. What would?
So it'll tell me the final gravity, the original gravity, the SRM, which is the color of it for the most part. It'll even tell me if it'll be pH high or low, so then I can adjust my pH level accordingly to it.
Cool.
So yeah, it's a really good application. It's pretty cheap, about $20 a year. I mean, it's really nothing at the end of the day, and you can store pretty much unlimited recipes. So,
can somebody get to your recipe without being a member?
Yep.
They can see the
Most
recipe,
definitely.
but without like actually paying for the thing. Cool.
Yep. I want to say it's Jeremy Brews, I think is the name, but I'll put a link in the description.
Cool. Well,
Most
on that note,
yes.
I wanted to say thanks again for tuning in. I know I say it every week, but we really appreciate it to all of you dedicated watchers. We couldn't do this without you. No, we probably still could. Not gonna lie. But don't forget to go. Yeah, don't forget to go have a pint with your pals.
I want to say thanks for my cousin Scott for giving me these beers that we're going to consume. Appreciate your donation. That being said, please drink responsibly.
And like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.
Cheers.